everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. My name is Sodruldeen Mustapha. Just like she said, Sodruldeen. It's a bit difficult to pronounce. Yeah, I'm the co-founder and CTO at Raenest, where we help African businesses and freelancers to receive payment, spend, and save. Today, I'm going to be walking us through, we're going to be exploring one of the most pivotal challenges in the ecosystem, which I often see beyond just as a problem, but also as an opportunity. When you're talking about problem, opportunity in fintech, the first thing that comes to mind, I believe, would be big elephant in the room. That would be trust. This is not. Okay, yeah. All right. All right, so the big elephant in the room, trust. We all know trust is a bedrock of financial systems, without which even the most innovative platforms will struggle to gain traction. If I don't trust your platform, I would not want to keep my money in it. I wouldn't even want to kind of like have anything to do with your platform in the first place. Because I don't want to put my money somewhere where I feel like you could, come and run away with my money. I remember a few years ago, about 10 years ago or so, there was this very popular Ponzi scheme back in my home country. I believe it's beyond just Nigeria. It was in a lot of African countries. I don't know if you remember MMM. Does anybody here remember MMM? Yeah, awesome. MMM came into the system, people put a lot of money in it, and just overnight it disappeared. So trust is very key. In African fintechs, also to say African fintechs have, just a minute. Yeah, African fintechs have not just only disrupt the traditional banking, but beyond just the disruption, they're also promoting financial inclusion. When we're talking about financial inclusion, from market women receiving payments to receiving money cross-border or sending payments across border from different countries to another without barrier. However, regardless of these sources, there are still challenges. Challenges which include fraud, data breaches, and transparency, issue with transparency. And these are major things that are holding back this innovation from reaching its full potential. So today we're going to be discussing uncovering how we can uncover transparency, how we can uncover trust, and ensure that with transparency, we're able to kind of promote much more trust in the ecosystem, using Raenest's journey as a case study. Right from the onset, from advertisements to users signing up, to login, to transaction processing, we need to ensure trust. When I say from advertisements, right from when you're advertising your platform, you should be transparent enough to let users know what they would be expecting. You don't advertise promising things you know you would not be able to offer. That's from advertisements, to sign up, to ensure security of data, to log in, and to transactions. We all know that traditional banking in Africa today have long underserved its vast population. From the chart we have here, from the map we have here, showing the percentage of how African adults have access to banking services. We have South Africa with about 68.8%. Adults having access to banking services, with Nigeria Republic having 3.5% being the minimum. This shows a huge gap in financial inclusion in Africa so far. And fintechs today are not just only promoting this financial inclusion, they are also serving as a catalyst for which innovation can sit on. However, as mentioned earlier, there are still problems in the ecosystem. Problems that have to do with high-profile data breaches, transparency, and cultural factors. These problems also led to other things, which impacts hesitations for users to be able to kind of like adopt new technologies. Because if I know using your platform, my data could get compromised. If I know using your platform, you could promise a fee, and eventually I made something different, I would also hesitate to use a platform too. These are the impacts it's having on the adoption. And also, the trust issue is also affecting startups in venture funding to raise funds. So we came up with something I call the pillar of trust, which is having transparency at its driver, while having security at its foundation. Talking about clear communication in terms of using transparency as a driver for trust. Fintechs, African fintechs, so to say, are encouraged to try as much as possible to be transparent, right from, like I said, the advertisements, up to the sign-up, up to communicating the fee to users. If I'm on your platform trying to make transactions, so to say, it is very important for me to see what I would be getting upfront before I eventually click on the final send button. I don't want to be on your platform saying I want to make a conversion from US dollar to, say, Kenya shillings, and you're telling me I would be getting 10,000 Kenya shillings or 10,000 naira. And at the end of the day, after the whole transaction, I ended up getting 9,999. That is not good enough. Also, we should ensure that we communicate clearly and in simple terms, not in ambiguous terms that is difficult for users to understand. Because if your platform is communicating with me in such a way that using words that are difficult for me to understand, or words that has like 3 or 20 minutes, I would be, having a trust issue in using your platform because I don't even know where you're going. Are you saying this or you're saying that? At Raenest, we prioritize ensuring that our customers understand our fee structure and benefits from our financial insights. Another thing to talk about while using transparency as a driver for ensuring trust is accountability. It's advised that fintechs, conduct regular audits and make it publicly available if possible. This also helps the general populace to be able to kind of like have more trust on the platform you're building or what you're offering. Also, open channel communication should be encouraged. That also helps in keeping accountability. When you ensure and you make sure you're having an open platform where you can communicate with your users, with your customers, you get their feedback, and you resolve the disputes in a timely manner. At Raenest, our quarterly reports and proactive engagements with regulators is a key example of this commitment. We have example of companies like Stripe publishing their financial data. We have like Wise always intimating users about how they're reducing fee. And I believe this is one of the factors that has helped users to be able to kind of like have more trust in using their platform. Security as the foundation, because no matter what you're building, no matter how nice your innovation is, no matter the problem, the type of problem you're solving, if I do not feel secured on your platform, I would run away. So security should always be at the forefront, right from the development stage up to the stage where user will be able to kind of like conduct that transaction. Right from when your developers are developing, they should ensure they put security in mind and have it at the forefront. It's important that we ensure a robust end-to-end encryption of data from the system to the server to where the transaction is eventually marked as completed or successful. It's important that we conduct a regular security audit beyond just saying, I've had it checked in my code, everything runs fine, everything runs well. I can tell you this is act proof. It's important that you conduct a regular security audit, regular penetration testing, and put a lot of authentication mechanism in place. Raenest employs advanced multi-layer encryption and AI-driven fraud detection system that helps us secure our customers' data. Beyond that, aside from having internal audits, it's highly encouraged that fintechs, so to say, speaking to African fintechs, work more with agencies outside, external agencies. If you have audited your system to ensure that your system is still safe, it's always still very advisable to have somebody from outside try to get into the system and see if it's safe enough as you've claimed it is. Because it's better for you to be the one to discover these problems than for it to affect your customers before it gets discovered. Still on security as a foundation in our pillar of trust, data protection is very essential. It's very essential and it's very important that African fintechs stay in compliance with international standards. We have GDPR and we have localized data protection law in different countries. We have the likes of GNR or something like that in Nigeria. I believe we have that in Kenya too. So beyond just ensuring that you're in compliance with international standards like GDPR, it's also important that you take it local and ensure that you're not breaking the data law of your host country or whatever country you're operating. At Raenest, we've perfectly blend global standard with local nuances to be able to ensure that our user data are well protected and we're in compliance with the local laws. Incident reports response as the last thing, using security as a foundation for our pillar of trust. It is very important that when there are incidents, you're very quick to respond to it. And beyond just responding to it alone, you have to be transparent with the users to let them know if there's any issue that happened on your platform. They need to be aware of the extent and what you have done to mitigate this risk. Doing that would encourage users and also enable users to be able to have more trust on your platform. They know, oh, this happened, and this is to what extent my data may have been compromised. Beyond just talking about the problems, there are a few steps that are advised that we can, take to ensure that the trust we're trying to put into what we're doing, into the platform we're building, is to make sure that the trust that we're trying to build is in place, so to say. So I put on 3 things here: embedding transparency, strengthening security, and community involvement. It still boils down to what we've been talking about before. But more details of embedding transparency, I made mention of advertisements, fees, I made mention of transparency in letting users know if there are breaches and stuff. It is very important that your user interface is simple enough for users to use. I don't want to come to your platform and just because I want to send 10 Kenyan shillings to someone, I want to buy coffee out there, and I'll have to fill 10 forms or I have to go to 10 different screens on your mobile app before I conclude my transaction. It should be as simple as possible. Think of your users as people that do not have patience. Think of your users as people that just want to get things done, and within a few seconds, they get it done and they leave. Also, frequently communicate updates, fee, and security enhancements with customers. That's very important in building trust. When you know that fee changes on the platform you are on, not that you just wake up one morning and the price changed, you have no idea of how much you're paying for something. It affects trust. It's something that happens on few platforms we've seen today, and it doesn't speak well. We made mention of ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements earlier. Strengthening security by investing and hiring cybersecurity team. Beyond just having your own internal cybersecurity team, it's advisable that you have someone out there or people out there that also kind of like do regular security audits on your platform. Using AI to detect and mitigate fraud in real time. As human, we can only do our best, right? If you have 10 million transactions going through your system, you cannot manually review all these transactions yourself. Places where we can make use of AI to detect and mitigate fraud in real time and early enough could be places like transaction monitoring system, could be like in your KYB, in your KYC, because it's something that human are more prone to errors if it's been done by human. But with AI, it's much more faster and much more kind of like, reliable. You made mention of partner with global security firm for audits and certifications to ensure that you are following best practices and to ensure that you don't have breaches within your system. And the last but not the least in building trust, in the step to building trust, engaging with users. You can keep building from now to next year, but you will not be the only one using your system. Users will be the one to use your system. So if users are using your system and you have no way you are receiving feedback and you're not working on this feedback, then it's as good as your system is just there for nothing. So it's important to co-create trust framework. Have a framework where you can interface with your users. Have a framework where you can listen to users' feedback. Have a community where users will be able to kind of like let you know their pain points, let you know what they feel like should be the next thing you should be doing. Beyond just data, users should also be one of those factors driving the next thing you should be doing. Beyond taking feedback from users, working on feedbacks that users are providing in order for you to kind of like build trust, it's also important that we engage users on how to safeguard their own digital finance activities. You can secure your system from the sign up to the sign in, to the sign out, to transaction, to everything. But beyond that, it's possible for your system to be hack-proof, but users could compromise themselves. So, for example, a user phone gets stolen, or a user give their own email and password out to someone else, and their accounts get compromised. When they go on social media, they won't say, I gave my password out. They will say, my account got compromised, which is a very bad image for your own platform. Because if I'm Googling your platform, the first thing I'm looking forward to is user feedback, how users have been interacting with your platform so far. And if I start seeing tweets or comments like, my account got hacked, then that raises the question of, is my account safe with you? Is my money safe with you? So it's important that beyond just building hack-proof system, engage with customers, educate them, let them know how to best protect their own digital finance activities. And finally, leveraging on local networks to contextualize transparency and security. So, talking about trust, fintechs can do all they can to gain trust from users, but where does the government and the regulators come in? First thing would be framework. Without a framework that allows the government to be able to checkmate fintechs, just like the example I gave earlier, I gave an example of MMM. They are not regulated. Nobody's regulating them. Nobody knows anything about them. They took advantage of this to run away people's money. So government comes in here to help start up build trust by ensuring they have frameworks and guidelines that guides fintechs on what to do and what not to do. They create strong but adaptive regulations that encourages innovations without compromising user protection. Because the government is there to protect user data and also to protect its citizens to make sure they don't get into the bad actors' platforms. Also, we advise and want the government to promote and encourage fintech sandbox, like sandbox frameworks. It's been done in a couple of countries today. I believe Kenya is one of those countries, Kenya, Nigeria, Rwanda, where fintechs can easily operate in a lesser scrutinized environment, like a controlled environment, to be able to kind of like test run their innovation before they eventually take it out to the public. Because one of the major issue fintechs, I would say African fintechs are facing today globally, is balancing risk and growth. It's easy for you to say you want to, get a lot of customers, but at the same time, you need to kind of like consider the risk factor involved. Without governments providing some startups, some fintechs, some startups and some companies access to their data to be able to kind of like use it to compare their verification, ID verification, it will be very difficult for people to be able, for fintechs to be able to kind of like conveniently do their KYC, do their KYB effectively to be able to get to know their customers as it should be. Public-private partnership should also be encouraged because governments and private sector working together to ensure that fraud is kind of like reduced and financial literacy is promoted would also really help in building trust in the ecosystem. And encouraging innovations by creating platforms for firms to be innovative without a lot of cumbersome regulations that will be stiffing their creativity and growth. Finally, where government to come in is also encouraging fintechs to abide by global standards. Okay, so we've spoken about the problem, we've spoken about how we can, build trust, the steps to take to encourage users to be able to kind of like trust African fintechs more by redefining trust, making it as a competitive advantage, using it as a competitive advantage. Then looking into the future, we should be having three things in mind. We should have a clear vision, which African fintechs are expected to, lead in redefining trust for the underserved markets, because it's not just Africa that is affected by these all traditional banking not eventually, really serving everyone. Fintech should aim to make trust a unique selling point for financial inclusion. This should be a major vision. At Raenest, our vision has always been to set standard for trust in multi-currency banking and enabling African users to be able to manage, grow their wealth globally and without issue of trust. And also collaboration is encouraged between fintechs, not just fintechs, but generally African startups generally. Collaboration, we should work more within ourselves. We have a lot of African startups providing services like transaction monitoring. We have a lot of them providing services like KYC, identification. We should work more often together to be able to kind of like also encourage users' trust. And a key takeaway from this whole thing, we have fintech founders, we have users, and we have regulators. And my advice to founders today would be to prioritize trust through transparency and security. To the regulators, to build a framework that enables trust without stifling growth, and to users to demand accountability. Demand accountability and actively engage in reshaping the future of fintech in Africa. Thank you so much.